Our next speaker is Miss Susanna Saari from Finland. And before going on with the insight from Finnish Travelers, I would like to thank Jean-Pierre for that thought-provoking and energizing talk. And he reminded us that our life should be purposeful and happiness is not something extraordinary. It is hidden in every detail. And now we continue our exploration of happiness and well-being with a Nordic perspective on wellness travel. Susanna is from Finland. Susanna is a senior lecturer in tourism and wellness businesses at Turku University of Applied Sciences. She has been teaching there since 1998. She has a master's degree in social sciences and currently completing her PhD in urban wellness tourism. And Ms. Susanna Saari, she has led EU-funded projects in health tourism, and she represents Turku University Academy. She has an active voice in Finnish and international tourism networks, including serving as World President of SCAL International in 2018. Susanna's talk will share insights from Finnish travelers, giving us a cultural and research-based perspective on wellness tourism. Let's welcome Susanna.
Thank you very much, and very good afternoon to everybody. And let me start first sharing my screen. Okay, happiness, wellness, tourism motivation, and tourism destinations among Finnish wellness travelers. And this is actually a study that we did a couple of years ago. So it's already been published already, I think, 2 years ago in a journal, which I hope you have an access to because it's an open access article as well, and so should be available for everybody. And I have these annoying announcements of people joining late. Okay, I come from Turku University of Applied Sciences. We are on the southwest coast of Finland, closer to the border of Sweden. This Turku is an old capital of Finland. In the 19th century, of course, now it's Helsinki, but we like to consider ourselves as the intellectual capital of Finland still, a very academic city. We have a couple of science universities and several applied science universities here in town. I come from the Faculty of Business, and as said before, I come from this School of Services and Finance, where we teach tourism and wellness business at bachelor level. And I am also a doctoral candidate at the University of Lapland. There's a picture of me in the midst of the snow. Currently, the weather here in Turku is quite nice. We're actually getting closer to 20 degrees, which is too much for the time of the year. So due to the climate change, unfortunately, we get to see these types of phenomena. As all the applied science teachers in Finland, we all have to have a professional background. Mine is in the hotels business. I used to, my latest time when I was still working in the hotel was in Dubai in the late 90s. And ever since I have been then back home here in Finland, mainly teaching, doing some research and studying, just like the previous presenter. So let's go on to the presentation, and I'm sort of keeping it very boring academic because that is sometimes what we have to do, but this is the outline, a short introduction, some thoughts from the literature review, a few words about the methodology, and then the results and the conclusions. Throughout the study, I didn't actually want to put too much on about wellness here. I believe that you as tourism students already know about what wellness is. So I left the sort of the historical part of it completely aside. But the definition of wellness, which we have been using in the study, comes from the Global Wellness Institute, where they define wellness as the active pursuit of activities, choices, and lifestyles that lead into the state of holistic health. You probably know that there are quite a few different definitions. So when doing research, you always have to choose the one that you are going to use. And when we were outlining this research, we actually were in the midst of the pandemic. COVID-19, or Corona, as we say here in Europe, was actually on, more or less going in and coming out, like depending on the season, more or less. But at the same time, also the fifth research on happiness, global happiness, came out, and that year Finland was for the fifth time in a row, we were the happiest nation in the world. Obviously, or as you probably have heard, we are now already the 8th time we are the happiest nation in the world, and our happiness is something that we started thinking, and it's actually quite funny because Finland and Finnish people themselves do not consider themselves very happy. If you follow the social media, you often see discussions about this happiness, especially now that finances have not been that good and people are not getting well off. So they discuss the happiness and they say, how come we can't be so happy, especially when considering what's happening here. But I often tell them that it's because you don't understand what they have actually been researching in the survey. And I think the previous presentation was very good background for this, because happiness is so many things. But we also wanted to include happiness in this wellness research. So first of all, we wanted to know what are the sources of happiness among Finnish wellness travelers. And then, of course, maybe the main thing which we started with was the motivational side of traveling. So what are the motivations of Finnish wellness travelers? That was the question. And then we then wanted to put these things together, and we're asking what is the relationship between this happiness, wellness, motivation, and tourism destination also among Finnish wellness travelers. And as I say we, it means that there were 3 of us. I was the main researcher, but I also had 2 colleagues with me. I had Mia Grenman from the University of Jyväskylä in the Lakeland area of Finland, and a colleague from the University of Applied Sciences in Turku, Mervi Varhelahti, who was also co-writing with me. Usually in the articles, you always have the literature review. So I just pulled out a couple of highlights from the literature review so that you can understand the context. When we talk about wellness tourist motivation, it relates to traveling that improves your well-being in many different ways. So it can be physical, it can be, often is psychological, obviously, emotional, social, spiritual, and intellectual as well. And behind all of this thinking is actually something from the 50s when Dunn was talking about the holistic well-being, and in his thinking, he divided in 3 into body, mind, and spirit. And of course, when people have different motivations when they travel, they can then also be further categorized. And we looked into this 2 categorizations. First of all, the hedonic oriented motivation, which means that you are gearing towards happiness and pleasure seeking, and then the eudaimonic oriented motivation, which is more about psychological functioning and meaning seeking. So if you look at these and think about your own motivations, you may be a mix of these 2. We often are. And we also found out when we were reading that although wellness tourism has been widely studied from all different types, from different dimensions, and when you look into the article, you will see a lot of discussion about these different wellness tourism topics, then the scholarly understanding of the happiness put together with motivation and destination is still sort of missing there. And as I said already, when we talk about wellness tourism, then the hedonic and eudaimonic motivations and experience and activities can be mixed as well. So you often have a sort of a mixture of the two, and you also can be a different type of a traveler. So in wellness literature, they also discuss the tourists and how they can be divided into two. There is the primary type. He or she is the person whose main reason for the holiday is to experience wellness, to take care of her body or his body and soul and spirit, so to speak. So, for example, it could be a week's yoga holiday somewhere, or a sort of a religious retreat, or a retreat into silence, or an active sports holiday. All these types of things where really you are looking at your health and well-being as a sort of a holistic point of view, and that is the primary reason you're traveling. But then we have those secondary travelers who for some other reason are using the wellness services. And this could be a businessman traveling into a destination, and while staying in a hotel will notice that there's a spa, maybe I can use some of the treatments that they offer. Or you are in a hotel where you experience there's a yoga lesson in the morning. Well, I've never tried yoga, so maybe now I have a chance to do it, but that has not been your primary motivation. Wellness tourists also, I have not put any amounts of money here or any statistics, but you most likely know already that prior to the pandemic, tourism was the fastest growing industry globally. But within the industry of tourism, actually, wellness tourism was the highest niche. And this is also one of the reasons why wellness tourists are well sought after. The destinations really want to have these types of clients because they spend on average much more money, stay longer in the destination as well. So it's really one of the reasons why people, why destinations are now investing into this. And then about the happiness, and this is where we touched Jean-Pierre's discussion already. Of course, it was more about the gross happiness, but we in Finland, having been the 8th time the happiest nation, why are we the happiest nation? Well, the ministry is actually saying that Finns are happy because Finnish society has developed what has been described as an infrastructure of happiness. What is this infrastructure of happiness then, is your question most likely. This infrastructure of happiness comes via different things, things that contribute to happiness. For example, life expectancy. When you have quite a long life expectancy, which means that you are actually living a well-off life, that it makes you happy. The confidence in government is actually a key contributor as well. We just finished our municipality elections on Sunday. Once again, sort of a show of democracy working in this independent state. So that is actually something people trust. The elections are also trustworthy. The average income is quite high. We also give social support to people, for those poorer people who will not make it, or for whatever reasons don't have the means to live. And generosity and freedom to make life decisions is also something that contributes to happiness. When you have the freedom to choose what you want to do, you can choose what you want to study, you can choose your career, you can choose where you live, and so on. And all these results are then because of the specific social systems, for example, that we have here in Finland, such as healthcare, free healthcare, free education. In Finland, you do not pay tuition fees, even on PhD level. It's all free of charge. The economy is working quite well, although we do have recession due to many things globally. I think everybody is now facing the same situation. It's a bit crazy now between the big states here in globally. But human rights issues are a huge contributor to happiness as well, when you don't have to be afraid to speak up, to voice what your opinion is. This is very important. Democratic governance, and then of course the culture of volunteerism. And what all of this means, it means that the trust is very high. And I think Finland is one of the most trustful nations when it comes to trusting other people, but also trusting institutions. We trust our politicians. We really much trust our police force, our army, and so on. So these are the sort of the basic ingredients into this happiness. And so getting new insights into the sources of happiness and their relationships between the wellness, tourist motivations, and tourism destinations of a country boasting of natural social distancing and melancholic nature is valuable in the wellness tourism context. This is a snip from our text. And what we mean with this natural social distancing, I give you an example. During COVID-19, they used to recommend to keep a 2-meter distance in between persons. And in Finland, we were asking, when is this pandemic over, so that we can return back to our natural 5 meters of distance between people. So we are not a very sort of, we like to keep our solitude and our distance. Methodology, just one slide about it. We did a survey. The data was collected in the fall of 21, and it was sent out as a link via the the Spa Association of Finland. They have a list of approximately 40,000 people in there. That was the 21 figure of recipients of their newsletter, and we had 520 answers, which is quite a good number. The study examined wellness tourist motivation through Kessler's 7 motivational dimensions. I will mention those a bit later on. And the questionnaire also included open and closed-ended questions on these themes, which I have listed here. First of all, hedonic and eudaimonic well-being, then the tourist motivation, and also the destination. And the results. The first one, sources of happiness. And here I think I pretty much echo our previous presentation and Jean-Pierre's ideas as well. Sources of happiness for Finnish people. Number one was, like, no doubt, relationships. And what do these relationships mean? It means friends, family, and pets. And I have a couple of citations here I want to read out when what people were saying. This was an open-ended question. It took quite a long time for me to actually go through all the themes. I think we had some 1,400 different replies in this, because the question was, please name 3 things that make you happy, with 3 words or 3 short sentences. Many people wanted to really write a lot, so it took me a lot of time to go through all of this. But a couple of examples about pets, family, children, friends. First, what makes me happy is my children's care for the families and my grandchildren's contentment and happiness, my spouse's well-being and happiness, and my own happiness. And then the other one, friends to whom I can vent my troubles, my talking cat, to whom I am the most important thing in the world. And then somebody said, I have a wonderful wife, I have wonderful children. So these type of answers in the relationships. And then nature. Walking in the woods, especially in the crisp air. In the summer, the gentle, unhurried suds of the beach sauna and the repeated dips in the lake. In winter, the frosty blue twilight, gazing at the stars and the moon, and the snow crunches under the shoes. So nature for Finland, for Finnish people, is really, really a big thing. Just like in the previous presentation, you use your 5 senses. It's really important for us to be connected in nature all the time. In Finland, it's also quite easy because we are quite a nature country in a way that we have the biggest remaining wilderness of Europe is still in Finland, and many of the cities are really green as well. Then we have rest and relaxation as one of the things there, in which also makes very much sense, that you really want to escape the hustle and bustle of the city or your stressful life or studies. People said something like God unscented relaxation treatments, yoga on the beach or in the forest, peaceful music, good food, good night's sleep. Very important. And by the way, did you know that we in the past, we didn't actually sleep 8 hours in a row, but people used to sleep in two parts. There was this sort of early sleeping, and then they woke up in the middle of the night to work, and then they continued sleeping. So we were more like close to the nature in the past. And then the fourth one is health and well-being. And I just one quote here: I feel happy when I feel loved, needed, and comfortable in my own body. Then we looked at the motivations and the Kessler's dimensions that we were testing and using. And you can see them here: movement and fitness, healthy food and diet, meditation, mindfulness, rest and relaxation, learning about wellness, self-care, nature, and disconnect. And we actually used these 7 dimensions. They were further broken into statements, and we used Likert scale to ask people to tick the right box. The key findings here: number 1, importance of returning to everyday life feeling energized. And then second, experiencing activities in nature. Once again, nature here. And then number 3, giving oneself peace, the time and peace. So rest and relaxation, these type of issues. And you can see a picture in the background here where people are skating on sea ice. This is a very common practice if the winter is hard enough, if it's harsh enough so that there is actually ice on sea and lakes, people like to go out skating. I believe in the Netherlands it was used to done in canals, but I don't think they have enough of ice anymore. We are also experiencing the lack of winter nowadays, unfortunately, here in the Nordics. And then the destination preferences, we were also asking, and these are the top 4. Number 1 is spas. It's quite natural because we have plenty of spas here in Finland. It's quite common that you take your family, your extended family maybe, and your friends, and you spend a weekend or a week or a long weekend in a spa. And these spas are often located in nature settings, or even if in urban settings, there's always nature nearby. So it's quite a nice place, so you can do indoors and outdoors things. Number 2 was urban destinations, which I was really happy about because I am an urban wellness destination tourism researcher. And so for me, this was a very nice finding. Once again, we have to remember that Finnish urban destinations are not urban like I would think, that the same way as, for example, in Turkey. I have been to many of your destinations. We are much smaller scale, maybe less hustle and bustle here. But our urban destinations are very green. So the urban blue and the urban green is an important factor here. National parks, we have plenty of those. The access is free. Especially during the pandemic, people found these places in big numbers, even in too big numbers sometimes. National parks provide you with really nice facilities, eco toilets and places where you can barbecue, and even huts where you can sleep overnight free of charge in Lapland, for example. So people really like these types of nature places. And then outdoor recreation areas. These are more likely connected to cities and sort of urban areas where you can just spend a day being outdoors, being active, do different types of things. And then we also looked at the relationships between the variables, and we didn't really find these findings are not significant in a way. So I sort of encourage you to look at the article if you find this an interesting study. there was a very weak association between, for example, the learning about wellness and waterfront destination nature connection. So we couldn't really find, this was something that we were hoping to maybe find, but we couldn't. Happiness, also very weak correlation between things. And in the background variables, the higher education was negatively associated with learning about wellness. We were thinking that maybe when you have where income level is high, it means that you are more educated. So actually, you actually know more about wellness already, for example. So, but these findings are really not that significant. In the background picture, once again, I want to point it out. There's a guy dipping in the ice. Ice swimming is very, very popular here in Finland. Very good for your health as well. To have this heat from the sauna and then the icy water afterwards. Obviously during winter time only. In summertime you have lovely lakes and the sea to swim at. And so in the conclusions, happiness is Finnish happiness is very mundane, very ordinary happiness, because it's largely based on this eudaimonic oriented happiness. So it doesn't come from fast cars, owning a Rolex and having a lot of money. It comes from being outdoors, spending time with your family and sort of very day-to-day things. And findings are in accordance to the World Happiness Report. So this solid connection with nature and outdoors, as I said, and saunas and icy waters, balanced living. The motivations were a mix of hedonic and eudaimonic oriented elements. So feeling energetic, being active in nature, and so on, lowering your stress levels. And these motivations, we feel really well echo the Finnish wellness travelers' destination preferences, spas, urban destinations, national parks, and outdoor recreation areas. There are a couple of other, well, there's the articles that I have published now as part of my PhD, and there's one in progress. I'm looking at enhancing the urban wellness from the local well-being point of view, because I have a very strong feeling that that tourism should not be developed based on tourists only. We should actually first and foremost look at the local people, and if they are happy and content and well in their own environment, that environment will also work very well with the tourists. So I am at a very large stage on this article and hope to have it published soon. So hopefully I can send you guys a link to that also later on. And I think this is all from me at this point. And I say kiitos. This is Finnish for thank you.
Thank you very much. And in fact, I have some questions, but I reserve the time for questions at the end of our session. And while we are talking about this Finnish perspective on happiness, it was in close connection with what Jean-Pierre has recently mentioned. Now, let's continue with nature-based experience and psychological well-being.